The world is a remarkable place these days. 6 billion actors, is it 7 billion now? I can't remember, 7 billion. Interacting constantly, acting, reacting, giving feedback to each other constantly. It is not chaos, but neither is it order of a conventional kind. It is something in between. That is the definition of a complex system. It is not a chessboard. It is not susceptible to linear analysis or policy, where we can pull a lever on policy A and expect outcome B. I think the history of government in the last few decades rather illustrates this truth. Complex systems don't respond to top-down management. You can't freeze them in a moment, decide what's going on, and understand that enormous complexity in its totality. That's impossible. Businesses are beginning to understand this. They're beginning to realize that the way to be successful in this environment is to empower the individual agents. They're representatives at the lowest level. You'll see in our business papers, you'll see Harvard Business Review, it had an issue about complexity that talked about this very idea. And it's very interesting that business has got there before politics has. I think we will see more of it. One of the interesting characteristics of complex systems is an idea called emergence. What this is that individual agents acting together will manifest a characteristic which they do not have in themselves. Let me try to explain that more clearly. A water molecule is not wet, but you put it together with lots of other water molecules and you get wetness. An individual neuron in your brain is not conscious, but you put them together with other neurons and you get consciousness. This is my suggestion about our complex system, that if the individual agents, i.e. us, behave in the way that I'm suggesting, collaboratively, dealing with each other directly, non-violently, consultatively, that rather than an order imposed from the top down, which seems to be a model that is less and less effective, we will create a much deeper order from the bottom up. And indeed, the definition of emergence is the creation of order and functionality from the bottom up. This is an extraordinary possibility that a globalized world has actually made more possible rather than less. But it won't happen on its own. This is not an inevitable function of the situation we're in today. It is not an inevitable consequence of the machinations of market forces, and certainly not an inevitable turning of the wheel of the dialectic of history. Many worse outcomes are very plausible. Dystopia is all too visible. This will only happen if we decide to make it happen, if we ourselves decide to act. This is actually rather frightening, but it is also extraordinary and, in my view, rather wonderful.